I was only 5 when I entered the palace. The eunuch who came to fetch me stared at me, barely taller than the soft sedan chair, his face pale with worry. He hesitated, then said, "Lord Zhong, are there no other young ladies of proper age in your family?" At this, my father, who had been crouching to speak softly to me, his face darkened slightly. He smiled bitterly. "Only my younger sister, the virtuous consort, was in her prime. But she has already served the crown and your majesty with all her loyalty." At those words, the eunuch seemed to recall something terrible, his reddish lips pressing white. After a long while, he looked at me, still happily munching pastries, and sighed in resignation. "Can you bear to part with her, my lord?" "There is no choice but to bear it." Father gazed at me, faint light glistening in his eyes. I thought he wanted my pastry, so I generously handed him one I didn't like. "Father, you eat." Father stared blankly at the pastry. Suddenly, he laughed out loud. He stroked my hair and shook his head. "Father won't eat. Chinga eats. Eat your fill, nice and full, and from now on, don't think of this home anymore." He stood up and handed the eunuch a bulging silk pouch. "Eunuch Gao, you are an old man by His Majesty's side, a wise one. You know I have no wish for this, but a father loves his child and plans for him deeply. She lost her mother young, I must plan extra carefully for her. If I never remarried, I would keep her by my side, cherish her like a precious jewel." But father's eyes were full of helplessness. "I am not just Zhong Zihua, I am a son of the Zhong clan. Marriage was never my choice. The Lady Ju is shrewd and capable, a fine mistress for the house, but she would not treat my daughter gently. It is better to send her to the palace. At her age, no one will pay her any mind, and even if they do," father's eyes reddened, his body trembling slightly. "For my sister's sake, His Majesty and the Empress will not ignore her. Her future will be brighter than as a motherless legitimate daughter in my house." Eunuch Da also sighed, weighing the pouch. "You have thought this through thoroughly. You made up your mind long ago, I see." I spoke out of turn, just a foolish man's thoughts. "Very well. Then," Eunuch Da stepped forward and took my hand, smiling, "I will care for her on your behalf. Lord Zhong, I will honor your wish." Father bowed repeatedly in gratitude, gesturing for me to speak. I swallowed the pastry hard and lifted my lips. "Thank you, Eunuch Da." Few children ever thanked him. Hearing me, he smiled like the morning glory in our courtyard. He lifted me into the sedan chair and asked casually, "Would you like to go to the palace to live a blessed life, Miss Zhong?" I had no reason not to want to. On the contrary, I was overjoyed. A bigger house than home, better food, prettier clothes, and no lectures from father. I wanted that life right away. I nodded earnestly, making father's eyes turn even redder. Just as the sedan chair was about to leave, father suddenly pulled back the curtain, his face urgent. "Chinga, remember this above all. The Empress and the noble consort are bitter enemies. Never, never get caught in their fight. Water and fire, not deaf. Water and fire have ears too." I said, "Father, I didn't hear you. Say it again." But only Eunuch Da's voice answered. Father was already far behind, smaller than the night pearl he had given me, too. Perhaps I looked especially cheerful. The Emperor smiled the moment he saw me. He pointed at me, his voice sure and knowing. "Zhong Zihua is asking me to raise his daughter for him." I almost talked back at once. "I wasn't here to be his daughter. Father said I was here to be a beautiful consort, just like my aunt." But before I could swallow my cake, Eunuch Da beside me knelt in terror. "Your Majesty is wise," I pouted. "So you lie with your eyes open." He got it completely wrong, and still he's wise. "Your subject is here to be your Majesty's consort." The Emperor blinked. I thought he hadn't heard, so I shouted, "Your subject says your subject is here to be your Majesty's consort." Instead of admitting he was wrong, he burst into loud, shaking laughter. The Emperor laughed until he could barely breathe, looking at me. What a spirited child, much plainer speaking than that stuffy Zhong Zihua. I was annoyed. He was wrong again. Father talked non-stop all day. Even my little white dog was tired of him. How did someone so not smart become emperor? But the Emperor didn't let me speak again. He waved a hand. "Enough, enough. The Zhong family has served the crown loyally. If I don't fulfill his wish, he'll feel wronged. Xiao Dezi, take her to the Empress." "Your Majesty." You haven't given Miss Zhong a title yet. Who asked you? The emperor stopped smiling. Picking up a memorial and tossing it at eunuch De, he looked at me, startled. But his tone didn't change. Title? What title? She's too young for any title. Don't you know what Zhong Zihua is planning? I didn't understand half of it. But one thing was clear. I couldn't be the empress consort, not yet. No pretty clothes, no big room, no sweet pastries. Tears stung my eyes. I even thought I'd do well and bring father a good life. But he just lied to me to make space for his new wife. Humans really don't share each other's sorrows. And my father is full of nothing but tricks. 3. The empress was beautiful. But for some reason, she looked grey to me, as if even her glittering robes had dimmed. I thought she might fade away into the golden palace at any moment. Seeing me stare at her, the empress's sad eyes lifted into a small smile. This must be Lady Zhong's daughter. What is your name, and how old are you? I remembered what the nanny at home taught me and bowed clumsily. Your Majesty, this subject's name is Yuan Qing. I am 5 years old. The empress's expression froze. She could no longer keep her proper smile. She murmured, lonely, 5 years old already. I didn't know what I'd said wrong and looked helplessly at eunuch De. He was looking right back at me. We stared at each other, both hopeless. In the silence, the tired noble consort when could no longer hold back. She raised her hand to smash her teacup, but stopped when she saw me, nervous and small. She clicked her tongue, tossed a fruit from the box at eunuch De, and frowned sharply. What does Li Chen mean? Is he trying to upset me on purpose? He knows perfectly well. Seer, the empress seemed to wake from a dream, but her deepening sorrow showed she hadn't escaped at all. She shook her head and spoke softly. Don't speak to the child of such things. It is not her fault. She stood and walked toward me. Her robes trailed, gorgeous and dazzling, but on her frail body they felt like chains. Yuan Qing, is it? She gently touched my cheek. A healthy child, just a little plain. She smiled and placed a hairpin from her own hair into my bun. The eastern pearls hanging from it swayed, making my heart flutter. Play as you like. There are no rules here. You, make yourself at home. Thank you, Your Majesty. I bowed happily, but she held me up. The empress looked steadily at me. Yuan Qing, do you know why your father sent you to the palace? I answered truthfully. Father said he's sending me to live a blessed life. The empress laughed softly. She took my hand, a little light returning to her lonely face. Yes, your father is right. Our Yuan Qing is here to be blessed. I looked into the empress's phoenix eyes, which held only me. For some reason, I felt she was looking at someone else through me. But before I could think too hard with my not very clever brain, noble consort when suddenly gasped. She pointed at the empress's hand, trembling. Hey, Zhao Shintong, this isn't what we agreed on. The empress smiled gently. This child and I get along. I wish to favor her a little more. Nonsense. You just want to laugh at me. Come here. I blinked at the jade finger painted bright red. You won't come. The consort pulled me over without another word. She stared fiercely at the pin in my hair, then rummaged through her own jewels. Finally, her hand stopped at a golden hairpin set with a thumb-sized ruby. Pride shone on her face. She pulled it out smoothly, but hesitated before putting it in my hair. I clearly saw the words "I don't want to" written all over her face. Her frozen hand showed how much she hesitated. In the end, she pouted and said unwillingly, "Fine, it's yours." Then she lit up, excited like a child. "Haha, Zhao Shintong, you lose. My hairpin is worth more than yours." I frowned. They even compete over this. Father was right. The empress and the consort were water and fire. What was it again? 4. The empress placed me in the eastern warm chamber. She sent many delicious treats and toys, and assigned a head maid named Chinkyu. Aunt Chinkyu lived up to her name. She talked non-stop. From the moment the empress left, her mouth didn't close. First, she told me the current emperor was once Prince Rui, who had fought through a succession war to ascend the throne. I wasn't interested in the stories of a not-smart man, so I asked, "Auntie, do you know why the empress and the noble consort are water and fire, not deaf?" I said the last word very softly, and Aunt Chinkyu clearly didn't catch the mistake. She laughed as if she'd heard the funniest joke in the world, forgetting all palace rules. "Miss," she tried to hold back her laughter, but it still bubbled in her voice. Where did you hear such nonsense? Her Majesty the Empress and noble consort when they're close, very close. I didn't know whether to speak up or stay quiet. When she saw I wouldn't rat out my tricky father, she figured it out herself. I know, she clapped her hands, eyes sparkling. Noble consort when has been His Majesty's childhood friend. He promised to marry her as his main wife long ago, but her family wasn't powerful enough. His Majesty needed more support, so he married the Empress instead. Everyone thinks the Empress took her place, that's where the rumors came from. I frowned. Why does everything have to be what His Majesty wants? Did the Empress want to marry him? And isn't the noble consort sad? Father once promised me candied cakes from East 6th Street, then forgot because of work. I ignored him for 3 whole days. This, Aunt Chinkyu didn't explain excitedly this time. These are adult matters. Miss, you'll understand when you're older. Oh, and miss, she lifted her eyebrows, there's something I wasn't supposed to tell you, but since you haven't attended to His Majesty or received a title, you aren't a stepmother yet. So, my right eyelid twitched. Aunt Chinkyu smiled gently. So if you meet the princes or princesses in the palace later, you'll have to bow to them. The pastry in my mouth suddenly tasted like ash. Bow, bow, bow. Father never said I'd be living on my knees in the palace. Truly, no meal comes for free. I sighed deeply at how hard life was. Aunt Chinkyu saw I was upset and comforted me. Don't worry, miss, His Majesty is busy with state affairs. There aren't many princes or princesses, just, she counted on her fingers to be sure, His Highness the Crown Prince, the Empress's first son, third prince, by noble consort Wen, and second prince and second princess, by consort Ju. I laughed at how serious she was. You forgot the eldest princess, auntie, eldest princess. Aunt Chinchua's face went the same way as the Empress's. She said, empty and lost. Her Majesty the Empress's eldest princess went to a very far place, too far to ever come back, so I didn't mention her. What a coincidence. Father said mother and auntie went to a very far place too far for us to find them. Auntie, did they go to the same place as the eldest princess? Aunt Chinchua's lips trembled. Sad, yes, then you should be happy. I looked at her, confused. Father said that place is very nice, even though it's far. I don't think he lied to me, otherwise, why wouldn't they come back to see me after all this time? Miss, Aunt Chinchua's eyes turned red. The pastry in my mouth was completely tasteless now. I guessed I really didn't know how to talk to people in the palace. I was only trying to cheer her up, but I'd almost made her cry, just as she squeezed my hand tightly. About to say something, the door flew open, a familiar, warm voice came from beside me. This servant greets His Highness the Crown Prince, His Highness the Third Prince. 5. I looked up, curious. The boy who entered had snow-white robes and black hair, though he looked only 7 or 8, he carried himself like a proper, calm nobleman. I said, you must be the Crown Prince. He smiled suddenly, like pear blossoms blooming in early spring, gentle, quiet, beautiful. How did you know I'm the Crown Prince? I glanced at the third prince beside him, who was practically staring at me through his nose, and quoted Father directly. Father said the one who looks reliable is the Crown Prince. Ahem. The Crown Prince's face pinkened. The third prince jumped, glaring with pretty almond eyes just like his mother's. What's that supposed to mean? Are you calling me unreliable? I didn't say that. The Crown Prince very reliably backed me up. She really didn't. Brother, that's not right. I'm your little brother, you're supposed to be on my side. Why are you defending her? He clapped his hands, realization dawning. I know, brother, you're ruined by beauty. Ruined by what? The Crown Prince gave him a helpless look, grinding his teeth. You don't listen to a single word the master teaches you. Starting tomorrow, I will supervise your studies, so you stop saying such ridiculous things. Brother, the third prince looked ready to cry. The Crown Prince ignored his nonsense and bent down to ask me, do you know my name? I shook my head. The princes' names all sounded the same. I'd never remember them anyway. Then remember this. His eyes curved, soft as spring water, like he could drown someone in gentleness. But for some reason, even though he was smiling, a deep, heavy sadness and hopelessness hung over him. He spoke softly. My name is Jinghe, Li Jinghe. I'm Li Jingming. The third prince jumped in, refusing to be left out. This servant greets your highnesses. My name is Yuan Qing, Zhong Yuan Qing. I've known about you for a long time." Faint light flickered in his eyes. He looked at me like I was a treasure lost and found again. "Your Highness." Li Jinghe only stared at me, joy and sorrow mixing in his gaze. "May I be rude and call you Qinghe? It would be my honor, Your Highness." "Then I want to call you that too." Li Jingming popped out again at the wrong moment, singing in a silly tone, "Qinghe, Qinghe tilde Qinghe, 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 Qing Qing Qinghe." I thought he and the emperor were truly father and son, equally annoying. I didn't manage to hide my feelings. He saw my tight lips right away. "Zhong Yuan Qing, is this how the Zhong family taught you manners?" I knew better than to argue. I knelt properly and apologized for my rudeness. He had his mother's straightforwardness. He waved a hand. "Grand, fine. I'll forgive you out of the goodness of my heart." Then his eyes lit up. He pointed at the fine white jade pendant around my neck. "As an apology, give that to me." "No. This was mother's, left for me." I hugged the pendant tight. Wary, "How dare you refuse me?" Palace children were rarely told no. I knew I'd embarrassed him, and he'd make me pay. But I couldn't help it. "Li Jingming," Li Jinghe scolded. He flinched, but held his head high. "Brother, stay out of this." He lunged for it, muttering, "Zhong Yuan Qing, I gave you face, and you embarrass me in return. Don't I deserve respect?" I twitched. He really did pick the one thing I couldn't give him. I'd give him anything else, but not this. Just as his hand was about to close around the pendant, I squeezed my eyes shut and struck. The crown prince, rushing to stop us, froze mid-step. He stared at Li Jingming, knocked to the ground by me, and couldn't hold back his laughter. "Zhong Yuanqing." His angry yell echoed through the hall. He touched his pretty, now sore face. "You wait, just you wait. My mother won't let you get away with this." And, very unluckily, right as he spoke, a voice announced from outside, "Her Majesty the Empress arrives. Noble consort when arrives." I watched noble consort when raise her hand, closed my eyes, and accepted my fate. "Goodbye, mother. I'm sailing away tonight." But instead, I heard Li Jingming scream. 6. The farce ended with noble consort when spanking Li Jingming soundly in the Phoenix Hall. Li Jingming wailed so loudly he sounded like a stranded sea lion. "Mother, she hit me first. Mother, please." Noble consort when spanked him harder. "You can't even beat a girl and you dare cry. And what did I teach you? You think you can avoid the real problem. It's true, she hit me first. I swear it, mother." Li Jingming looked like he'd stopped believing in justice, but still struggled. "Stop hitting me. I'm 8 years old. You're spanking me in front of everyone. I have my pride. Besides, if I lose face." "Don't you lose face." Noble consort when paused. Then came an even louder spank. Noble consort when, "I don't care." Seeing she wouldn't listen, Li Jingming looked pleadingly at the Empress. The Empress smiled like the mercy goddess of salvation. She stepped beside noble consort when she held up a hand to stop her. Li Jingming thought the Empress was saving him, until she said softly, "Drink some tea, rest, then continue." Li Jingming, the world was unfair. Noble consort when didn't want to waste time. She grabbed the tea and drank it all in one gulp. Her hand swung even harder. "Nonsense. The crown prince told us everything. You tried to steal Miss Zhong's pendant first." "Brother, silence. You deserve this. How many times have I told you, do not take what is not yours. Even if you love it, if it's not yours, it's not yours." Tears spilled down her cheeks. She was born to a military family, fiery and bold, but she was more lovely than a flower, and when she cried, even I felt sorry for her. The Empress stepped forward to hold her. "Siya, don't cry, the children are watching. Hush now. I just hurt. I teach him and teach him. Why does he act like his father?" "Mother." Li Jingming panicked and knelt quickly. "I'm sorry, I won't do it again." He spun toward me at once. "Little sister Zhong, it was my fault, all my fault. I apologize to you. I'm sorry, truly sorry." Li Jingming had lost his head. He was about to kowtow to me. My legs were too short, so I could only kneel right there and kowtow back. "I forgive you. I really forgive you. Stop, please. Father said kowtowing too much shortens your life. I'm young. I don't want to die yet." "Phut." The crown prince laughed first, then the Empress. Noble consort Wen watched us for a moment. Then smiled through her tears. All right, all of you, up, let's eat. The Empress waved an end to the farce. Does it hurt? Li Jinghe gently smoothed the wrinkles from my clothes, looking worriedly at the red mark on my forehead. Brother, I'm the one who got spanked. Why don't you care about me? Li Jingming complained loudly. Li Jinghe shot him a glare. You yell when you hurt. Does she? Li Jingming. She hits people. No one listened to his muttering. Li Jinghe impatiently led me to the table. Chinga, no, little sister Zhong. Li Jingming grabbed my hand. His fair little face blushed. I really am sorry. I shouldn't have taken something precious to you. I really forgive you. Afraid he'd kneel again, I pulled my other hand free from Li Jinghe's and held both of his. Truly, truer than gold. Then, he bit his lip. Can we be friends? My eyes lit up. If we're friends, do I not have to bow to you anymore? Of course not. Then we're friends, best friends, I grinned. Ahem. The crown prince cleared his throat and took my hand again. You don't have to bow to me either. Be casual. Happiness hit me so suddenly I almost finished the entire bowl of rice at dinner. The Empress smiled and reached to wipe my mouth when a familiar voice came from the door. Is noble consort Wen here? Noble consort Wen's smiling face dropped at once. She pressed her lips together and spat one word. Scram. 7. Eunuch de rolled in, afraid to meet the consort's fiery eyes. He curled up like a scared old quail. Your ladyship. Eunuch de forced a calm smile. His Majesty summons you. Summons you. He swallowed hard, wiped sweat from his forehead, and said fearfully, to attend him tonight. Noble consort Wen's fingers tightened. She frowned. I am unwell. Tell His Majesty to choose another. Your ladyship. Eunuch de's little eyes trembled. His Majesty said this is an imperial order. He is the son of heaven. You cannot refuse. Noble consort Wen's eyebrows shot up, sparks flying. He can just. She stopped herself, turned to Li Jingming. Li Jingming, cover Miss Zhong's ears. But her anger had already exploded. Her face turned black as a storm. Before I could react, she slammed her jade chopsticks down hard. Silence fell and the whole hall echoed. Noble consort Wen laughed coldly. Being emperor has gone to his head, full of himself day and night. Imperial order. Pa, go tell him, if he's got the guts, hang me with a rope. Stop putting on that disgusting act. I don't buy it. Get out. Eunuch de nodded furiously and rolled out. Eunuch de, life is hard. Eunuch sighs. Hey. She waved her hand in front of my face. Girl, little girl, snap out of it. When I didn't move, she said worriedly to the Empress, I messed up. I scared her with my temper. She glared at Li Jingming. This is all your fault. I told you to cover her ears. Li Jingming. Why is this my fault too? It's not. I was just thinking. I hurried to explain, afraid he'd get hit again. About what? About me. I nodded honestly. Then ask me. Don't just think. May I really ask? Ask, if I don't like it. I'll eat you alive. The Empress smiled and patted my tense shoulder. The consort is saying yes. Your ladyship, isn't attending the emperor something all consorts are happy about? Who told you that? Noble consort Wen looked disgusted. That old stick-in-the-mud Zhong Zihua. I nodded earnestly, throwing in a whole group to back father up. Everyone at home says so. The day my aunt entered the palace to attend the emperor, the manor set off firecrackers for 3 whole days to celebrate. Noble consort Wen rolled her eyes. Let them go if they love it so much. I don't want to lie in bed with a lying man who pretends to be devoted. It's disgusting. So, the rumors are true. I widened my eyes curiously. What rumors? Oh, the one where I was supposed to be empress. I nodded like a little chick pecking rice. Since manners were already broken, I might as well ask clearly. Then, your ladyship, you don't resent the empress. Noble consort Wen clicked her tongue. She looked at the empress, exasperated. Zhao Shintong, you need to raise this girl properly. Her brains almost rotted from Zhong Zihua's upbringing. Her mind smaller than a chicken cage. The Empress smiled and nodded. Noble consort Wen turned to me. Listen to me, little Zhong, I have no reason to hate Zhao Shintong. He was the one who couldn't give me the Empress's title, yet still forced me to stay in the palace. He used the Empress's title as bait to win the Zhao family over. None of this is her fault. I would never blame a helpless woman for that bastard's mistakes. And when you grow up, if someone lets you down, first find out who's really in the wrong. Don't go picking on another woman who's just as trapped and sad as you are. I nodded hard. I understood, I really did. Father really did have a small mind. Noble consort when patted my shoulder, satisfied. All right, eat up. The food's getting cold. Being near Li Chen really is unlucky. The Empress smiled and ladled a bowl of soup for her. It's not cold yet, just right. You always smooth things over, noble consort when scolded playfully, then dropped a piece of duck into the Empress's bowl. Speaking of our noble consort Ju slipping up lately, she had Li Chen wrapped around her finger not long ago. Why's he ignoring her now? Li Jingming mumbled quietly, with Li Shuezhen squawking around and annoying everyone all day. Consort Ju could dance till she's dizzy and it still wouldn't work. Your mother and I are talking, what's it to you? Noble consort when snapped at him. You're a boy, all you do is steal from girls and run your mouth. She's a girl even if she's bad, keep it to yourself. Why say it out loud? Li Jingming sulked. He saw me smiling secretly at him. He wanted to glare, but decided friends shouldn't act like that, so he nudged me lightly with his elbow and whispered, for your own good. I'm warning you, if you meet Li Shuezhen, stay far away. That girl's arrogant and cruel. She doesn't tolerate anyone. I didn't take it seriously. How mean could a girl around my age really be? I found out soon enough. 8. It was my first summer in the palace. I was playing in the imperial garden with the little white dog Li Jingming had given me. He was a good friend, he knew what I liked, unlike Li Jinghe, who gave me a whole set of school books and made me suffer studying with them every day. Suddenly, my right eyelid twitched, a big shadow fell over me. I looked up, a girl about 6 or 7 stood there, surrounded by attendants, looking down at me proudly. I knew at once this was second Princess Li Shuezhen. I bowed quickly to her. She didn't tell me to rise, she pointed at the dog in my arms. Where did this come from? Why didn't you give it to me? I was shocked by her rudeness, but answered truthfully, it's a birthday gift from the third prince. Oh, she waved a hand. It's mine now, something as lowly as you should be grateful just to live. He gives you gifts, noble consort when has no sense at all. I couldn't believe such cruel words came from a girl her age. But first, I had to protect the dog. I held the puppy tight and stepped back, but the palace servants grabbed me. The little dog yelped in fear, making Li Shuezhen even angrier. Grab it, hurry, or I'll have my mother have you beaten to death. What great arrogance you have, little sister. The Empress and consort when rule this palace. When did consort Ju get to order executions? Just useless slaves. Li Shuezhen lifted her chin, petting the puppy proudly. Are you hurt? Li Jingming checked me over, then snapped, Li Shuezhen, if you want a dog that bad, get your own, why steal someone else's? Li Shuezhen didn't regret it at all, she said as if it were obvious, I'm the only princess in the palace, everyone should spoil me, all good things are mine, like hell they are. Li Jingming spat, just as tension flared, Li Jinghe waved a hand, take it back. The difference between the crown prince, born of the empress, and a common princess was clear. The servants swarmed and took the puppy back from Li Shuezhen. You, how dare you? Being humiliated in her own way drove Li Shuezhen mad with rage. She glared at us, snarling, just you wait, all of you will die for bullying this princess. 9. I have to hand it to her. Li Shuezhen was true to her word, her curses worked more reliably than temple prayers. So when, on the autumn hunt in my 3rd year in the palace, Li Jinghe, Li Jingming, and I were surrounded by wolves, I cursed myself for being stubborn. If I'd known her mouth was blessed with evil magic, I would have kowtowed to her and begged for mercy. Heads can be broken, blood can be spilled, but dignity, it's worth less than a piece of candied cake. Who cares about that? Where are the guards? Why are they all gone? Panic was clear on Li Jingming's face. He wasn't really asking me, a clueless girl. Both of us turned to Li Jinghe. The young prince already carried himself with quiet pride, his back straight, but his head was slightly bowed, his face hidden in shadow, impossible to read his mood or thoughts. Only his hand on the reins trembled, either from anger or fear, making the scar on the back of his hand look even uglier. Brother, Li Jingming called again. Li Jinghe lifted his head, his gaze cold and sharp. They must have bribed the guards, There was no fear in his eyes, only disgust. I thought what happened years ago would teach them a lesson, but they're still mad with greed. If I'd known. He looked down at me, sitting in front of him on his horse. I wouldn't have brought you along. I froze. He had eyes like the Empress, soft, warm, able to calm you just by looking. But now his dark eyes were filled with thick, heavy sorrow and guilt, and that guilt wasn't just for Jingming and me. What do we do, brother? We can't just feed the wolves. Li Jinghe stared at the circling wolves, thinking. The terrain is too rough. The horses can't run fast, would be caught quickly. Not far from here. There's a river below the cliff. I'll clear the way. We jump before the wolves catch us. He placed my hand on the reins, his voice stern as I'd ever heard it. Zhong Yuanqing. No matter what happens next, even if something happens to me or Jingming, you don't look, you don't listen, you don't help, you save yourself, you must. His voice shook, as if he feared losing something. Live. With that, he narked 3 arrows and loosed them at once. A wolf howled. The pack split, leaving a gap for us to escape. Geo, Li Jinghe shouted. Hooves kicked up dust, the wind cut like a knife. But nothing was as terrifying as the wolves' green eyes behind us. Brother, the sharp smell of blood filled the air. I screamed, Your Highness. Li Jinghe ignored the gash on his right arm, snapping at Jingming, stay focused. We're almost there, get ready to jump. Before he finished, a wolf lunged at him, jaws open. To be honest, I froze. I'd faced death before, but never like this, cruel, bloody, instant. I wanted to live, but you can't only think about yourself. I knew if the wolf bit Li Jinghe, I could still jump and survive, but I saw the Empress's gentle smile in my mind. No one had ever been as kind to me. She did my hair, taught me manners and poems, patiently listened to my silly ideas. She'd given me a little warm corner in this cold palace to call home. She'd already lost the eldest princess. If she lost her only son too, how could she go on? I couldn't be that selfish. Besides, without Li Jinghe protecting me this whole time, the wolves would have eaten me bones and all. Your Highness, I'll disobey you this life. I used all my strength to shove Li Jingming off the cliff. Then a wolf dragged me off the horse. Li Jingming stared at me, stunned. Then his broken, desperate scream echoed through the valley. Zhong Yuanqing. 10. By some miracle, the Empress's reinforcements saved me. But another kind of misfortune. When I woke up, Li Jinghe slapped me hard across the face. Everyone gasped. All eyes were fixed on him. No one understood how the gentle, polite crown prince could hit the girl who'd saved his life. I sort of understood, but the pain wiped everything else away. I touched my swollen cheek, and tears finally fell. Could father not be right about anything? What kind of proper prince hits a girl's face? When he saw me crying, Li Jingming reacted first. He wiped my tears with a cloth and yelled at Li Jinghe. Brother, what are you doing? Why did you hit her? She didn't do anything wrong, she saved you. His voice was urgent, not loud, but it jolted Li Jinghe awake. He slowly lifted his head. I stopped crying at once. His soft phoenix eyes were dark, dead water. The tent was bright, but no light touched him. His body shook. I could tell he was being eaten by anger. Suddenly, he stepped toward me quickly. The Empress and the others snapped out of it, afraid he'd hurt me again, and blocked my way. But he pushed everyone aside, dazed and stubborn. The Empress fell to the ground, crying out, Jinghe. Jinghe, enough. She's not China. China is dead. Your little sister is gone. I know. The moment he grabbed my arms, he went completely calm, like all his strength had left him. Tears slid down his face. He pulled me into his arms, holding me like his last hope. Why didn't you listen to me, Zhong Yuanqing? Why wouldn't you obey? I told you to leave me. Why did you do that? What am I worth saving for? Why does it always have to be like this? Why every single time? The crowded tent filled with his broken, helpless sobs. I looked at everyone, their eyes red. I knew only I could stop this pain. I reached up and held his face, making him look at me. I said, slowly and clearly, your life is worth more than mine. Many people need you. If I die, you'll grieve, you'll feel guilty. But if you die, the dynasty falls, more people will suffer. Besides, I smiled at him. I'm not that noble. I just thought, if you were gone, Her Majesty the Empress would truly have no one left. She's too good to suffer like that. Is that how it was? A tear fell onto my hand, warmth spread. That's how they felt too, isn't it? Yes, Your Highness. No one gives their life easily. I see. Li Jinghe's eyes curved, like ice melting into spring water. He wiped the tear from my hand. Thank you, Zhong Yuanqing. Also, I pouted, if you were gone, Her Majesty would probably have to attend the Emperor again. That kind of suffering. She doesn't deserve it either. Ahem. Noble consort Wen, who'd been sad moments ago, laughed until she shook. She patted the Empress's shoulder. You raised yourself a thoughtful daughter. Stop grieving now, live happily. The Empress nodded, sat on the bed, and took my hand and Li Jinghe's. She was about to speak when a voice announced, Your Majesty arrives. 11. The mood in the tent plummeted. The Empress could barely keep her composure. Noble consort Wen just huffed and refused to look at him. But he was the Emperor. Mountains could crumble and he wouldn't flinch. A little cold treatment wasn't going to break him. He walked to my bed with a smile, not a single trace of concern in his eyes. Miss Zhong, you've been through a fright. I've had all your guards executed, Your Majesty. The Empress's voice was sharp with resentment. How long will you cover for Consort Ju? I finally understood, and hated myself for being naive. I shouldn't have underestimated Li Xuezhen. Her whole family had been plotting murder all along. Empress. The Empress spoke softly, as if reminding her of her place. But the Empress was no longer obedient. I know I am unworthy. I cannot protect my children, cannot rule the palace, cannot stop Consort Ju's greed. But I've stood by you for over 10 years. Even without love, there is loyalty. I only ask for justice, Your Majesty. Will you keep pretending, all for your political games? Insolence. The Emperor roared, insolent my ass. Noble consort Wen slapped the Emperor first. She hands on her hips, shouting, Li Chen, I've put up with you long enough. You think Zhao Xintong's soft nature means she's easy to push around. You're afraid of the Ju family's military power, that's your problem. But are the children's lives not worth anything? Either punish Consort Ju, or stop pretending in front of me. You make me sick. He still loved her. After all, the Emperor looked at noble consort Wen for a moment, didn't dare lose his temper, covered his stinging cheek, and left in defeat. That night, Aunt Chinkyu told me everything through her tears. This was not Consort Ju's first plot against Li Jinghe. 4 years ago, she had staged almost the exact same thing. My aunt, who had brought the eldest princess to see Li Jinghe, walked in on it. To protect him, she and the little princess had thrown themselves to the wolves. Buying him time, Li Jinghe had brought reinforcements as fast as he could. But by the time they arrived, my aunt and the eldest princess were already gone, torn apart beyond recognition. The eldest princess was only 5, such a small child, and even in danger. She'd still tried to protect her older brother. Under torture, the guards confessed it was Consort Ju's doing. But the Emperor, wanting to keep the Ju family's military power, had covered it all up, destroyed every witness, every piece of evidence. Only that had made Consort Ju bolder. So bold that she dared to repeat it 4 years later. Enough, Aunt Chinkyu forced a smile. Don't think about it, miss. The imperial physician said you're not badly hurt, but you've had a terrible shock. You should rest. My heart was heavy, but I didn't want to trouble her further. I nodded obediently. Just as I was settling into sleep, there was a knock. The Empress had come. She touched my cheek, her pain plain in her eyes. That foolish boy Jinghe, he doesn't know his own strength. It hurts, doesn't it, Chinga? I apologize for him first. I'll make him come beg your forgiveness tomorrow. It's all right. I shook my head. I disobeyed His Highness first. It's not his fault, silly child. Tears glinted in her eyes. She lifted her head slightly, then leaned down to meet my gaze, smiling. I came late tonight to give you an imperial decree. She stopped me from kneeling. You don't have to bow. This decree isn't to command you, it's to fulfill my own heart. At first, I was kind to you for your aunt's sake. But after 3 years, even though we are not blood, I think of you as my own daughter. I meant to give this to you on your coming-of-age ceremony. But now, for my own peace, I will give it early. From today, you are Princess Hongyong, my adopted daughter. The 13 cities of Qinghe, my dowry, are now your fief. You will have status. You will never have to flinch from anyone again. You can stand tall in this palace, Yuan Qing. From this day on, live however you want. I only wish you happiness, free from power, free from worry, Mother Empress." I threw myself into her arms. The 13 cities of Qinghe were the richest land under heaven, one of the main reasons the emperor had married her. And now, to protect me, she was laying down her greatest trump card. "It's all right. Everything that's mine was always for Jinghe and you. I'm only giving it a little early." She patted me gently until I fell asleep. Her voice was as soft as ever, but there was something new in it. In my half-dream, I heard her whisper, firm and cold, "From now on, I will not back down again. No one hurts my children anymore." 12. That night, I dreamed of my birth mother. Her face was blurry. She'd been gone so long, I could barely remember what she looked like, but she smiled at me, gently, as always. This time, there was no worry in her eyes. She told me she was happy that someone loved me again, cherished me, gave me a home. After that night, the empress and noble consort were like new people. They no longer spoke coldly to the emperor. Instead, they volunteered to attend him. Gentle and soft-spoken, when the hunt was mentioned, they laughed it off. Only noble consort would mutter bastard after serving him, and the empress would smile faintly when consort Ju provoked her, saying softly, "Our time will come." I didn't know how long that time would be, but I knew some things were too adult for me to understand, and so I grew up loved, until I turned 15, on my coming-of-age day. Noble consort didn't compete with the empress. She sat quietly, watching the empress pin a phoenix hairpin made specially months in advance into my hair. The empress's hands trembled, so did her voice. "Time passes so quickly, 10 years in the blink of an eye. Our Yuan Qing is a young lady now." She looked at me, eyes red, and said sincerely, "It's wonderful." I knew she was thinking of what the eldest princess would have looked like, all grown up. But I also knew she didn't realize, she only had me now. I stepped forward and hugged her in front of everyone. Calling softly, "Mother," the empress stiffened for a moment, then I felt warmth on my shoulder, her tears. She answered, half sorrow, half joy, "My child." As soon as the ceremony ended, Li Jingming bowed low before the empress and noble consort begging permission to take me out to see the lanterns. Noble consort eyed him suspiciously. "I don't trust you one bit, Mother." The empress laughed and shook her head. "He's grown. Watch your words." She waved a hand. "Go, take plenty of guards. Be back before curfew." "Thank you, Mother." Li Jingming thanked her profusely and pulled me away without looking back. Turned out, a mother truly knows her son. When he dragged me away from the servants, to a quiet, hidden spot, noble consort had been right. "What?" I raised an eyebrow. "Hurry, close your eyes." He was no longer the little boy. His features held noble consort Wen's bright beauty, mixed with young boldness. His eyes sparkled like stars. "Fine, I guess I'll." Before I could finish, fireworks exploded into the sky, drowning out my voice. I stared at the brilliant bursts. I was about to turn my head when he stepped closer. "Zhong Yuanqing, happy birthday. And, I don't want to be your friend anymore. I want to be your husband." I looked into his eyes, which held only me. His love was different from the empress's, but it made my heart race. Under the fireworks, I smiled. "Funny, me too. I want to be Li Jingming's wife. I want to see the northern borders with him, like noble consort talked about. I want us to be the best in the whole world." 13. Not long after my coming of age, the emperor fell ill. They say sickness comes like a collapsing mountain, but I knew he would never recover. After all, the empress and noble consort, swallowing all their loathing, had been slowly draining his health, day after day, in his medicine and food. Now he was a dying candle, beyond saving. Word reached the Phoenix Hall on a winter day. As the emperor lay on his deathbed, the empress was choosing patterns for paper cuttings to decorate the hall. When she heard, she froze. The tiny, delicate scissors slipped from her hand. She laughed, eyes red, muttering like someone in a dream. Good, good, finally, this day has come." She stood and walked quickly outside. China, under the clear sky, her joy overflowed. "If you haven't rested in peace, open your eyes and see. Mother has avenged you. You can. She closed her eyes, a tear sliding down. I felt a sharp, bitter ache in my chest. I walked up and hugged her. She collapsed against me, sobbing quietly. You can rest now. When we reached the audience hall, we ran into noble consort Wen and the others. Consort Ju had already arrived, waiting outside with her 2 children. But being early meant nothing. They were in the wrong camp entirely. Consort Ju, Li Shuezhen, and the second prince were blocked outside, staring at us in frustration. I almost laughed at their identical, furious expressions. Li Shuezhen felt my gaze and looked up, ready to glare. But her cruel expression froze before it even formed. She lowered her head at once. As if she'd seen something terrifying, I looked curiously. Li Jingming was not his usual gentle self. He wore an expression I had never seen before, like an executioner looking at his prey, not even worth the effort of killing. Certain, contemptuous. The hall reeked of medicine, stronger even than the incense. The once proud emperor was little more than skin and bones. First, he fulfilled his duty as emperor, instructing Li Jinghe in detail on court politics and power. Then he told Li Jingming again and again to be loyal, to support his brother. Occasionally, his gaze fell on the empress and noble consort when, even at the end, I could not read him. All I could do was stand uselessly in front of the empress, shielding her. He glanced at me. His eyes were somewhat like Li Jinghe's, but different. No killing intent, just looking at a bug too small to bother crushing. He chuckled softly. The only truly wrong move I made in my life was you, Zhong Yuanqing. If I hadn't given you to the empress, even now, she and Xie would only resent me. They would never have wanted me dead. I froze, staring in terror at the empress and noble consort when His Majesty knew. If he knew, why let it all happen? Fear turned to confusion. I turned back to the emperor, wordless. In the heavy silence, the empress spoke first. So, Your Majesty, is this all to atone, or just to lighten your own guilt? Both, and neither. I'd like to claim it was redemption. But you wouldn't believe me. You were right to be careful, Empress. At first, you and Xie didn't dare poison me, not until you'd waited long enough. By the time I realized, it was too late. When the imperial physicians told me, I wondered, punish you, or let myself fade. But if I turned on you, what would happen to the children? My dynasty cannot fall to the Jews, so I chose to trade my life for these last years. A selfishness, I suppose. After all, he looked at noble consort when. At least this way, you'd pretend to care for me. He turned back to the empress. I knew this day would come. But for the throne, even sacrificing my own children was acceptable. I have regrets, empress, but no remorse. The empress stared at him coldly. She had steeled her heart. But at the mention of the eldest princess, her eyes reddened. So you lost everyone you loved forever. Most men become emperors for desire. You were trapped by power, and lost all desire. You never loved anyone. Not even yourself, only your throne. Those who cannot love are always punished by love. Punished by love. He repeated the words over and over. He laughed bitterly. Zhao Shintong, I understand less than you, a noble lady, and I was never allowed to understand. He beckoned to noble consort when, begging her to come closer. We all thought a dying man spoke kindly. Surely he would apologize. Noble consort when thought so too. She walked over, head turned away. What? Stop pretending, Xie. Lower your head. I have 2 words for you. She pouted and leaned down. I want you to die with me. The emperor's strength flared suddenly. He clamped his hands around her neck. Get off. Noble consort Wen's face turned purple. She beat at him wildly. We rushed to pry his fingers loose, but they were locked like iron. Xie, the emperor gazed at her tenderly. We'll die together. I wronged you in this life. I'll repay you in the next. Wheel. His words were cut off by a spray of blood. One severed hand fell, then the other. The empress held a blade, her eyes blazing. You bastard. Who the hell wants to spend their next life with trash like you? The emperor stared at his hands on the ground, then at the trembling noble consort hiding behind the empress. He laughed. So be it, so be it. He collapsed onto the couch, motionless. Zhao Shintong, noble consort when stared at the still empress, amazed. You actually cursed. Fuck you, the empress said again. then laughed softly. She murmured, "Yeah, I curse now, blame you, you corrupted me." Noble consort Wen froze, then smiled. She nudged the empress playfully, indulgent. "Fine, fine, all my doing." She looked out the window, her eyes brighter than the stars. "Zhao Shintong, the sky in this palace is finally bright again. Yes, only good days from now on." The empress turned and stood beside her, both gazing at the moonlit towers, the stars shining. I realized father had been completely wrong. The empress and noble consort Wen were never water and fire, they were stars and moon, leaning on each other, shining for each other, never apart. Later, I asked noble consort Wen why she said again. She told me it was the second time. What was the first? She smiled softly, happiness warming her eyes. The first time, it was my 3rd year in the palace. That bastard Li Chen used my clan's lives to force me to keep Jingming. I thought the sky would never lighten again. I wanted to burn myself alive. But Zhao Shintong pulled me from the fire, and, she coughed, she slapped me. "Forget that part. Don't you dare tell anyone," she said. "Children are never raised for men. They are ours, our own." She told me, "We don't live for others, we live for ourselves. As long as you live, there is hope, something to look forward to." She also said, noble consort Wen smiled, but her eyes reddened, "Don't be afraid, no matter how hard it gets, I'll walk with you." Her clothes were burned, her hair a mess, but I knew, I had found my light, the one I could trust my life to. That day, the 4 walls of the palace finally felt bright. That was what kept me alive in this cold place. As expected, Consort Ju and her children rebelled. Unexpectedly, Li Jinghe had long prepared. He took the throne without bloodshed. On the day the city gates opened, Consort Ju accepted defeat. She drank poisoned wine as the imperial army entered. Her children were raised weak, when all was lost. They begged Li Jinghe for mercy, blaming everything on the mother who had schemed for them their whole lives. I understood their fear of death, but it felt bitter and ridiculous. After all she had done, Li Jinghe was as ruthless as the late emperor. Without hesitation, he demoted the second prince to commoner, confined him to his manor, and barred him from leaving for life. As for the once proud Li Xuezhen, Li Jinghe squeezed the last value from her title as imperial princess. He married her off to a barbarian tribe, to a man old enough to be her grandfather. When I told the empress how good had finally conquered evil, she showed no wild joy like when the emperor died. She only smiled gently, relieved, "It's finally over." But watching her, my heart twisted with fear. Her smile was too calm, as if she had nothing left to care for. "Mother Empress," I called, afraid. "What is it?" Years had been kind to her beauty, even nearing 50, her smile still took one's breath away. But her face was deathly pale. I swallowed my panic. When I saw Princess Pingning marry, all alone, I didn't hate her as much anymore. She was never truly evil, the Empress sighed. Only spoiled and arrogant, like Consort Ju, just toys blinded by power, poor things who could not choose their own lives. I hate them less than I hated the late Emperor. He could have stopped it, he could have chosen, but he let us be hurt for his own gain. Enough of that. The Empress's eyes lit up. She took my hand. "Chinga, you're 16 now, a young lady, it's time to marry. Is there anyone you fancy in the capital?" My lips parted. I hesitated. I knew she wasn't just asking for me. She was thinking of Li Jinghe. The emperor had ruled for nearly a year, yet kept the harem empty. Everyone knew why, and I knew most of all, love cannot be hidden in one's eyes. Li Jinghe loved me, but my heart had long held another boy. I didn't want to disappoint the empress, or put her in a difficult position. In the end, I only said, "I only wish to serve you in the palace of compassion and peace all my life." Silly child. She pulled me into her arms. "Everyone marries. Tell me, whoever he is. I will arrange it." I took a deep breath and whispered, "His Royal Highness Prince Heng and I are very close." The Empress's expression didn't change, but regret flashed in her eyes. "Of course, you grew up together, you're close in age, childhood sweethearts, it's only natural." "Very well, I will speak with the noble consort, and we will grant your marriage." "But your Majesty," I couldn't hold back my worry. The Empress shook her head. "Fate is decided by heaven. Lovers being together is the most beautiful thing in the world. I will not force you, or tear you apart, and I believe someone better, someone who will love Jing-he deeply, is waiting for him. Besides, her eyes filled with longing, I could not marry for love when I was young. I want you to have better, far better. Live the life I couldn't, Mother Empress. I buried my face in her shoulder, tears soaking her robes. Don't say that, you still have so long. Forgive me for speaking out of turn, I lost my mother young, I've always thought of you as mine. I want you to hold my children. How can I marry if you talk like this? The Empress froze, then she patted my back gently. All right, I won't say it, I will hold your children, Yuan Qing. Promise, I promise. But the Empress broke her promise. The woman who had sworn to walk me down the aisle and care for my children fell ill. I begged the physicians. Begged anyone in the palace, just say it, she's only tired, she'll get better. But no one bothered to lie to me anymore, and I was no longer the little girl who needed comforting. I had grown up, so I had to face the cruel truth. The Empress was dying. Still, I prayed before the Buddha again and again. Foolishly clinging to hope, I begged the Buddha, the Bodhisattvas, every god in heaven, please have mercy. Don't be so cruel. A woman as kind as her, who suffered her whole life, it was already unfair. Now that good days were finally here, she deserved to rest, to be happy, and most of all, don't let me become a stray child again, with no one to love her, Mother Empress. Tears slid down my cheeks as I knelt deeply on the ground. My wish was huge. To save someone medicine could not heal. My wish was small. I just wanted a home where I felt loved. Li Jingming shook me awake. He was thin and worn, just like me, broken over the Empress. He no longer had his bright, lively spirit. I didn't want to see him right then. I just wanted to be alone. At least then, if there was no good news, there would be no bad news either. But seeing his hollow face, I trembled and asked, "Is it, Mother Empress?" He pulled me into his arms, trying to calm my terror and confusion. His embrace was wide and warm, but his words were cold and cruel, sinking my heart into an icy pool. He said, "Ai Qing, Mother Empress has only a few moments left." My world collapsed, I snapped. Shoving the Buddha statues off the altar, I broke down crying, screaming at the idols on the floor. Why won't you open your eyes? There are so many evil people, why take her? Why her? Ai Qing. Li Jingming held me tight. Don't, she's been holding on only for revenge. Now father and consort Ju have gotten what they deserved. Her wish is fulfilled, she has no more strength left. But she promised me, she promised. Jingming, I know, but life and death are fate. What we need to do now is let her leave peacefully. Come on, wipe your tears. Let's go see her one last time. Okay, I nodded hard. When we entered the hall, noble consort Wen, who had always cared so much about her appearance, was crying like a child. She clutched the Empress's hand, sobbing, "Don't go, Zhao Shintong. Don't leave me, please, in this palace, in this world, only you understand me. Don't die." My tears, which I had held back, burst out again. The Empress, who had been smiling faintly, teared up too. She stroked noble consort Wen gently, like an older sister loving her younger sister. "I don't want to leave you either, Xie, but I'm so tired. Since I was little, I tried to be a perfect daughter of the Zhao clan. I turned myself into a lifeless doll, closed off from love, for others to admire. Only when I met you, did I feel alive again, with a heart, with feelings, but none of that could fill the pain, or heal my wounds. I truly can't hold on anymore, Xie. In our next life, let's be sisters from an ordinary family, marry brothers, stay by each other forever." Okay, Zhao Shintong, noble consort Wen cried uncontrollably, but looking into the Empress's hopeful eyes, she bit her lip and nodded through her tears. Yuan Qing. I wiped my face roughly and knelt before her at once. "Mother Empress, look at you. When you first came, you were so small, so many years have passed. I've always thought of you as my daughter, so at the end, I have a few words from my heart. I've always known you've carried pain, but all living things suffer. You must find joy even in bitterness. Now you have a husband who loves you. I can rest easy. May you be safe and happy." For all your years, I bit my lip hard to hold back my sobs, and bowed deeply to her. But as my head touched the ground, tears fell like broken pearls, covering the floor. Jinghe. The empress called to Li Jinghe, who had stood silently beside her. She opened her mouth. I don't know if you still blame your mother, but look at me. Look at your noble consort. If there is no love in the heart, even the best intentions turn to resentment. Let her go. Let both of you be happy. One day, you will find someone who suits you better, someone who makes you truly glad. Li Jinghe said nothing. The empress looked at him and sighed, regretful. My child, enough, enough. Even so, I knew until her last breath, she could never let go of Jinghe. Something shifted in my eyes, a thought grew wildly in my heart. Jinghe. The empress held his hand. For the sake of the years I bore you and raised you, promise me one thing. When I die, do not bury me in the imperial tomb. Do not lay me with him. Wait for a good day. Burn me. Let the wind carry me to see the mountains and rivers. Li Jinghe lowered his eyes, his feelings unreadable, but he nodded gently. The empress smiled brightly, and said playfully to noble consort Wen, Xie, I'll get to see the world before you. Zhao Shintong. Noble consort Wen collapsed by her bed, crying. We stayed with her, talking a little longer. Suddenly, the empress tilted her head and called to noble consort Wen, Mother, Zhao. Mother, did you convince father not to send me to the palace? Mother, please, I really don't want to go, I'm scared. Mother, she sounded like a wronged little girl, tears falling one by one. I just want to stay home, to serve you and father. I really don't want to go. You won't go. Noble consort Wen held her tight. We won't go. We won't enter the palace. We'll stay home. We won't go anywhere. Promise. The empress held out her little finger, smiling brightly. Pinky swear. Never change. For 100 years. The moment their fingers intertwined, the empress closed her eyes, softly and forever. Sleep. Noble consort Wen tucked her in. This time, no one will send you to the palace. You're just Zhao Shintong now. 15. I walked out of the Phoenix Hall in a daze. The sunlight outside stung my eyes, making the golden palace glow brightly. But the empress would never see this beautiful day again. My steps grew weaker, the world blurred. I stared at the long corridor ahead, my face blank like a lost child. When did this road get so long? Long enough to last a lifetime. And that was exactly how long she walked it, over and over, day after day, trapped her whole life in this cold, deep palace. The autumn wind swept around me, chilling me to the bone, breaking what little strength I had left. I collapsed to the ground and wept bitterly, like a wild goose left behind in the north, calling for its gone companion. Mother Empress, without you, this palace is so cold. So cold it breaks my heart. The sky will never brighten again. Ching. Footsteps hurried behind me. Li Jingming knelt and lifted me up. I looked into his anxious eyes and grabbed his hand tightly. Home, Jingming, I want to go home. Tears burst from my eyes. I miss home. I want to go home. Okay, Ching. We'll go home. I'll take you home. Don't cry. You're breaking my heart. He held me close, trying to give this lost, tiny thing some comfort, but hearing his sincere voice, I cried even harder. I wanted to go home, but where was my home? The minister's residence, that was father's home, with his happy, whole family. It had not been mine for a long time. I stared blankly at the square sky, at the stone steps worn by generations. Once, the Empress was here. This was my home. But now she was gone. I whimpered into the cold air. 16. Crying changed nothing. I had to accept the truth. I no longer had a home. But Li Jingming didn't understand. He thought I simply wanted to return to the minister's residence, so after the Empress's funeral, he sent me back. After so many years, father and daughter finally met and spoke. It was nothing like the stories, no tears, no embraces. I was calm, almost cold, and when I saw his peaceful, happy family, I felt no jealousy or loss. I was genuinely glad for them. After all, I had no home. It was good that someone else did. At least there would be one less sad person in the world, one more warm heart. I slept day and night in my old courtyard for 3 days. I tried to dream a perfect dream, one I would never wake from. But dreams always end. On the 4th day back, father could no longer sit still. He knocked on my door, awkward, like a guest. But he was still a father, carrying the candid cakes his daughter loved most. He looked at my calm face, paused for a long time, and said, "Now that you're back, put everything down and prepare for your marriage. Your dowry, I've spoken with your mother. We won't let you lack for anything." I stared at the bright yellow imperial decree and smiled. I stood up, and threw the last love the Empress had left me into the charcoal brazier. "But father, I don't want to marry anymore." "What are you doing? That's the marriage decree." "Wait, what did you just say?" Father scrambled to pick it out, then froze, staring at me. "You love Prince Heng. Why won't you marry him? Did he wrong you?" I shook my head, my lips moved softly, calmly. "Because I'm staying in the palace to accompany His Majesty. Mother Empress gave me a home. I can't abandon him, leave him alone in this cold palace. Father, I have to give him a home, only then can Mother Empress rest in peace." Those 3 days had been enough for a dream, enough to mourn, enough to see clearly, and make a choice I could never take back. I would stay, for the Empress. I would give His Majesty a home. "But, what about you?" Father turned away, his eyes red. "Me." I smiled bitterly. "Does it matter what happens to me, where I go? Besides, becoming Empress will please the Zhong family far more than being a prince's wife." "No, that's not it, Chinga." I lifted a hand to stop him. "Whether it is or isn't no longer matters. Father, I've always known, all those years ago. You weren't just speaking to eunuchda, you were speaking to me. You were afraid that as I grew wiser, I would hate you. But it's the opposite, the older I get. The more I understand how hard it was for you. Noble houses, even the imperial family, everyone puts their surname first, only then themselves. People have to make choices, but not only for themselves. I did love him. So much I wanted to bear his children, grow old with him. But that love means nothing next to Mother Empress's kindness. It's all right, Father. People always have regrets. Just like, I walked to the table and picked up the candied cakes he'd bought from East 6th Street. You didn't buy them for me back then. Nothing can make up for that now, not even buying the whole shop. Because, I only love the pea cakes Mother Empress made now." Father said nothing. Only a helpless sigh hung in the air. I watched his slumped figure, and thought the late emperor had been right. After all, my father, he was just a quiet man, the kind who only cries alone. 17. The engagement was broken quietly. No one knew I'd once dreamed of the northern borders, of long rivers and setting sun, of listening to Huqin and flute under the dusk. No one knew I would never be with the one I loved. The day Li Jingming left, the sky was dark and heavy. Weighing down the red walls and green tiles, he waited at the city gate for a long time. Everyone knew what he was waiting for. I knew too, but my heart could not turn back. Li Jinghe came to persuade me. I smiled. "Your Majesty, would you let us go?" He looked at me, and spoke at last. "Yes." Tears burst from my eyes. "But you know I can't leave, not for Mother Empress. I will stay here with you, until my last breath." How could I not know? His phoenix eyes lowered, the warmth in them frozen over. "I know why you stay. I know you do not love me, so I hoped, and I feared. I know I can never give you what you want, yet I am selfish enough to want a life with you. Qing, you are all I have left of my heart, the only selfish thing I have allowed myself. As emperor, I do love you, truly. But I am afraid you will suffer, like mother and noble consort when. So, Qing, if you want to leave, leave now. Mother Empress would want you to be happy. Consider this my one chance to set everyone free. This is my final compromise. If you stay, there will be no turning back. Even if we become a resentful couple, I will accept it." I touched his face and shook my head. "Your Majesty, I will never regret this. I will stay. I will give you, and myself, a home." I turned and walked out. "Chinga," I pulled away from his hand. "Your Majesty, don't worry, you're right. I smiled brightly, should say a proper goodbye, on the way." I searched for 1,000 things to say, but everything came back to the same truth. I was sorry, at last, my voice hoarse. "Do we really have to meet?" I forced my face calm, letting no sorrow show. "We have to. If I don't, I'll spend my whole life hoping." He lifted a hand to my cheek, his calloused thumb brushing gently over my skin. "Qing, say something nice to me again. You've hurt me, and I haven't even raged. You know how petty I am." "Jingming," I turned away. But tears fell onto his palm, clear, bright, reflecting all the grief between us. I'm sorry, truly sorry. He said nothing, only turned my face back to him. Our eyes met. In those star-bright eyes that had once been so full of life, there was no light left at all. Don't say sorry, Zhong Yuanqing, I won't forgive you. From now on, you have to live for both of us. You have to live. His tears fell too, happily, joyfully. Only then might I forgive you, understood. He shoved me hard back toward the palace gates. I looked at him, wiped my tears, and forced a smile. But my eyes were empty. I wish for you to marry a noble lady, to have children, to live a full and happy life. Your Highness, Jingming. I stopped before disappearing from his sight. Let yourself go. Someone better is waiting for you. Got it? Go on, it'll be dark soon, and you'll start worrying again. But just as I was about to step into the carriage, I heard a sharp, desperate scream, like all his strength was spent. Ching. I turned my head slightly. Li Jingming's robes fluttered. He ran toward me, forgetting all dignity. I wanted to turn and ask what was wrong, but he shouted, "Don't look back." He stopped. His voice broke even more. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't be able to let you go, Zhong Yuanqing. I hate you. I gave you my whole heart, and this is how you repay me. You'll never know how much you lost. But, his voice softened. I still want you to be happy, happier than anyone. Footsteps sounded again. This time, they walked away. His voice, full of regret and longing, filled the capital. Zhong Yuanqing, may we never meet again in this life, and may you be safe. Every year, I waved, tears streaming down my face. Goodbye, Li Jingming. 18. On my wedding day, noble consort Wen did my hair. Her movements were clumsy. Father frowned, but my eyes stung with tears. She was never good with her hands. Even the simplest bun the Empress did for me, she could never copy. For this complicated bridal hairstyle, she must have practiced night after night. What had I ever done to deserve this? She combed my hair again and again. Her wrinkled brows held the love of an elder, and the hope of a young girl. She prayed softly, with all her heart. 1 comb, a peaceful marriage, health and joy. 2 combs, a life without worry, safe and happy. 3 combs, grow old together, never apart. When she finished, she set down the comb and whispered, "All right, now Zhao Shintong can sleep well." Your ladyship, I choked. I'm sorry. Noble consort Wen shook her head, her face soft in a way I had never seen. There is nothing to be sorry for. In life, everyone must choose, everyone must let go. Don't cry, Yuan Qing, truthfully. She leaned in to wipe my tears, just like the Empress would have. I'm glad. Do you remember the day you first came to the palace? When Jingming was beaten, it wasn't just for you. It was because of the late emperor. My love for him was real, but so was my hate. If he couldn't keep his promise, he should have let me go. But he was greedy. He wanted the throne and me. He trapped me, destroyed my life. I was so afraid Jingming would become like him. So I taught him without rest, every single day. Today, my heart is at peace. My Jingming, he is a good man. He knows how to respect, how to let go. Without you, thousands will love him, because he deserves it. I opened my mouth to speak, but firecrackers at the door drowned out my words. All right, noble consort Wen smiled, and lifted the red veil. It's time to marry. Walk bravely, Yuan Qing. Even with my back to her, I felt her deep hope. Your fate is better than ours. I hope it will be, even better. The sun set. The palace gates held all the joy. I looked down at the ground beneath my feet. It felt strange and familiar. This lonely city was my home again. But it was not the same home anymore. 19. Third day of the 11th month, first year of Zhengde, Lady Zhong was crowned empress. 12th day of the 3rd month, third year of Zhengde, Empress Zhong gave birth to a daughter. The emperor was overjoyed, and named her Siqing, thinking of the clear one. Mother, a sweet, honey-like voice reached my ears. I looked down. Siqing was tugging my skirt, trying to pull me into the shrine. Mother, mother.